to the very first podcast of the Tea on Birth. So today's tea will be just like Jill. We're just going to talk about me and why I wanted to start this podcast and how awesome it's going to be. So for starters, I want to address the elephant in the room. And by elephant, I mean that since I was about 6 years old, I've had a lisp. And so I'm going to try and do really, really good about speaking clearly. But, you might just have to deal with it. It's just normal, natural. I'm not going to edit out my awkward, weird sounds that sometimes come out when I try to make words. So bear with me. I just want to say that. So if you're listening to podcasts and you're like, why is she saying those words so weird? Why does it sound like her words are slurring? It's just something I've had for a long time. So welcome to the awkwardness. But so a little bit about me is that my name is Lavondria. I'm the founder of Simplicity of Birth, which is my doula business. I'm a birth and postpartum doula mostly, but I also am trained in bereavement doula and do sibling doula because I just love the kiddos, which is why I started in birth, really, because kids are awesome. I love babysitting with them. I love helping them grow and learn, but I also don't want to babysit forever, and I've always really wanted to help people. And so I went on this path to being a nurse after I went on this mission trip in Africa, which was super awesome. My first time on a plane and everything. But so I did that, and that was in high school, and I came back and I decided, okay, I want to be a missionary and I'm going to be a nurse. And then while in nursing school, I learned about this thing called midwifery. I thought that was super cool, but I haven't had any kids. And so I was like, I want to experience birth before I'm in my master's going to nursing school. So I talked to a midwife and she told me about doulas, and I had no idea what that was. So I did a lot of research and talked to my chiropractor who is super into the birth world at the time and still is, and she recommended a program and I got trained on a semester off of nursing school. And now, almost 4 years later of being a doula, I want to do more to educate moms. And then also this podcast I want to use, not sure how, but to talk about just doula life, what a doula is, what a doula does, how we're impacted by the job and just, the doula life that no one really knows about or talks about. But along the way, I really fell in love with birth, and mostly out of hospital birth and just personalized care that I already provide with my doula clients. So as of a couple months ago, a year ago, I decided instead of doing nursing school, that I was going to just be a midwife because I just wanted to help deliver babies and be with mamas and change the narrative, change the outcome. So I just finished my first semester of midwife school. Whoop whoop. It was super awesome. But so that's how I kind of fell into the world, really. Call the Midwife show drop is the best. That's one of the shows I watched and I was like, this is amazing. I love this show. I want to do what they do. They're awesome. So that's kind of how I got into led me more down the path of birth things. And why do I want this podcast to be about birth? I kind of already touched on it, but it's mostly because I want to maybe provide more education Yes, I'll be looking at articles, but it'll also just be from the things I've learned and the things I've seen and the knowledge I've gained and will be gaining throughout midwife school and attending births to tell moms, because I feel like they just lock in sometimes uneducated, which is totally fine, but it makes you more fearful of birth and more scared of what's happening, even if it's normal. And then when it's not normal, really scared because you have no idea what's going on. So that's what I want this podcast to kind of touch on. So we're talking about things like, what do you do when your water breaks? Do you have a playlist? Do you not have a playlist? How to involve your partner? How to pick the best care provider for you? All of those kind of things. And I just believe, like, I'm not even faulting moms that go into birth and they're scared, or something happens like preeclampsia and they're not prepared because no one talked to them about it, and you don't know what you don't know at the end of the day. So that's why I want to talk about birth, and I'm really passionate about birth, and I'm really passionate about baby wearing, and I'm really passionate about breastfeeding. So all those topics will definitely be something I chat with you guys about. And this podcast is going to be uncut. As I kind of talked and hit on in the beginning, it's going to be raw. I'm just going to talk and have some pointers written down on things that I know I want to hit. But besides that, y'all are just listening to me. Basically, the text messages I send my moms, or the conversations I have with a lot of birth workers, I'm just talking about it on a podcast. I am letting the world listen to these private chats that happen over time, and hopefully giving you some knowledge in between. It's going to be real fun. I love drinking tea. I know everyone loves the tea. You know, that's the thing right now. So I'm just going to give you all the tea, the scoop on these things that no one really talks about birth, about postpartum, and have fun with it. I would love for this to be an open conversation. So after I chat about something on the podcast, if you have more information about it, please let me know, and the listeners know all the things. And then also just to build more of a community. I think moms really need community in tribes. And so I want to build like a, virtual online community. But those are sometimes the best because they're not in the situation with you, and they can be unbiased about what's happening and give you some real truth and real facts. So that is a goal for this podcast. There's going to be a lot of tea dropped, a lot of tea spilt, and most of it / all of it is going to be true facts. It's not going to be gossip. There's some myth things in the birth world, but it's going to be pretty legit. So I can't wait to get this started. Super nervous, super excited. But that is my plan. That is what is going to go down. So stay tuned for the things to come. And I hope you enjoy.